I am getting ready for the National Association of Specialty Pharmacy Conference
Yay.
and another gathering of the industry folks, pharmacists, pharmaceutical companies, hospital systems, pharmacies, and other healthcare vendors. So it's a
So what
great
happens
forum.
there? Yeah, but like what's the
It's very similar to some of the other conferences within the specialty area where
Mhm.
a lot of it is around meetings and customer meetings, but I find that there's a lot more education at NASP, and they do a lot of these really interesting tracks. So they have Legal Day where they talk about a lot of the legal the changes that could affect healthcare or the pharmacies or hospital systems or just in that realm. And so they have a track that's dedicated to that. They have a
Mhm.
track that's dedicated to cell and gene therapy.
Hmm.
They have a track that's dedicated to patient services and adherence and ACHC and URAC accreditation. So they
Okay.
have all these like different tracks and education forums, and very similar to the others that we've attended. I find though because it is a smaller meeting. It's nicer to be able to go to the sessions. I find that I have more time to go to the sessions, and they're
Yeah.
really rich in content. And I enjoy that's like where I get a lot of my CEs and
Hmm.
education, and then a
Is it
lot to
a
come back and
is it a
follow up on.
mixture of who's presenting? Like is it
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, uh, definitely a mixture. Um, but they don't have patients. Isn't that interesting?
None of them ever do. And it's
No, it
yeah,
just occurred to me. You're right. There's no patients. Um, well, maybe next year we'll have to change that.
that would be awesome. I
Yeah,
honestly think like I mean even if it's not like going to a patient advocacy group, it's recognizing it, even people that are attending, like someone's
yeah,
got to be a patient. It's like, and just to have that, just one voice, just something like,
something.
you know,
Right,
even just to
right,
like kick things off because you get so much to the point where you're just talking the work, like
yeah,
I was in meetings all week and, we were talking about, different regulations that are happening and like, the Sunshine Act and,
oh yeah,
um, uh, the pricing, just different stuff. And it's like, you just get you can't always say like, oh, and we're doing this because of, but it's still nice just to have that reminder, especially when you're learning and doing these sessions over and over and over.
right, right. It is. I'm doing another Hope Kit packing event in
Yay.
partnership with the National Breast Cancer Foundation
Hmm.
and the Tina's Warriors group, which, by the way, we are now an official nonprofit
Are
organization.
you? Good for
We
you.
are,
Yay.
yes, as of this week, we are now an official nonprofit. And
Yay.
we are going to continue paying it forward within the space of cancer, and what that looks like going into the future. I don't know,
Hmm.
but there's just a lot of things we want to do. And it goes back to that patient voice. So
Hmm.
at the Hope Kit event, I am speaking, and I'm essentially speaking about change from the inside out. We, as an industry, we're at the table making these decisions. We are the
Hmm.
ones that are building these programs or thinking about strategically how do we place a program in the market, or how do we market it, how do we brand it, how do we create the packaging. And so the folks that gather at this meeting are some of those decision makers. So
Hmm.
my whole stance at the Hope Kit party event is we are the change makers. We are the ones at the table. So let's make change from the inside out, and let's bring the patient voice in. So I do have a speech prepared
Uh-huh.
to challenge the industry. And I want to come back next year and say, okay, so I challenged you last year. What did you do within your own organizations? Did
Yeah.
you reach out to your advocacy arm? Did you try to find out how you could bring a patient in as you're, building your brand strategy, or your patient services. So I am setting a challenge out there, at this meeting for the folks that are attending.
It's interesting that I just kind of put this picture together of like of why, like, we started having this conversation in this podcast because we're like, manufacturers need to bring the patient in, and to understand more. But it's not even just understanding more from like we what we're lacking
Mm-hmm.
from the industry, or what is working, kind of like what's working, what's not working. But it's not just from like a pharmaceutical manufacturer standpoint. It's like holistically, because like
Mm-hmm.
we can share that type of information of like, okay, I'm not just talking about the drug. I'm talking about like the whole being of like what I'm dealing with. Like I have a wide group of young onset women that we talk to very often, and a lot of times like they if they are having issues with their neurologist, they don't have another one to go to. And it's like that right there could just be like her patient experience. So whether
Mm-hmm.
her patient experience is with, that new medication that she's trying, or a therapy, or one that she's not getting on because of the doctor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this is like what we can as patients can contribute to an ad board, for anybody, whether it's a manufacturer or a specialty pharmacy, or, hell, me, I'd love to have us in front of payers, which I understand the payer
Oh my
world. And,
gosh, that'd
but
be
you know
the
what I
dream.
mean? I mean, just to like get in front of them to be like, this is life. And they have to know. I mean,
Of course they
some of
do.
them have
Right.
to be patients and have gone through this, which
Of
actually,
course.
by the way, I was talking to a colleague of mine, and I was telling him about our podcast, and he was interested. And I was like, well, maybe then you should come on, because he was talking about his mom, and I believe she has Alzheimer's, and he's like, I understand the pharmacy world and the industry and like healthcare. He's like, but oh my God, he's like, being on this side as a caregiver, he's like, it is nuts. He's like, I was like, yeah, I know. That's what Tina and I talk about. And we always say, if we can't figure it out,
Yeah.
who is?
Right.
Um, but it's just like anything in the world. It's like, why do we make things so hard?
We do. I recently had a very frustrating experience with a payer. My daughter is on an injectable for asthma. She's got
Hmm.
severe asthma. She's my college daughter,
Oh, okay.
and she already failed one injectable for asthma, and
What
then
do you mean failed it?
she was on an immunotherapy, and
Hmm.
it just didn't work. It worked
Oh.
for a while,
Hmm.
and then it just stopped working for her. So then they moved her up to a different immunotherapy for her asthma,
Okay.
and it's self injectable, refrigerated, all that kind of jazz. So she gets on it, and we PA everything. I mean, which was very painful, mind you. The prior auth process, which should have been easy, was not.
Mm.
Definitely a barrier. And it just like there was so many problems that happened trying to get her on the second drug
Hmm.
that she desperately needed. Well, we finally get her on it, and she's on it for 4 months, and all of a sudden, just like last month, they needed to prior auth it again. And we're like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't understand. But then when I call my insurance plan, they are like, no, we approved the PA for a year from the time of the first time we did it. And I said, but the PBM, the specialty pharmacy, won't ship it. And they're saying that she needs a prior auth again. I don't know what was happening between what my insurance company actually was saying that they did to the PBM, but there was something that was misaligned
It's like this.
clearly. Uh huh. And it was another painful process. And it was PBM driven. It wasn't my insurance company driven. It was
Mm.
PBM driven to get another prior auth 4 months after she had already been on this drug, in the middle of treatment, delaying her injection, by the way. And so how do we allow that to happen?
Yeah. That's beyond me. Where does
I have some
where should the
choice
power
words I
really
want to
live?
say right now about the
Yeah.
PBM, but I won't.
I'm sure you're probably not the only one.
um, oh gosh, I'll tell you.
That's frustrating.
It's so frustrating. And we live in this world, and I was about to crawl through the phone. And in the doctor's office is like, we don't understand. We sent all the paperwork in. What are we doing this again? They don't have time. Well,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm chasing down the doctor's office, and my daughter's trying to like go to class and study, and it's like, this is the last thing any of us needs to deal with, right? It's so painful. It's so painful.
You wish you can get all of them. Just like we need a seat at the table,
Yeah.
they then need a seat at our table when
Yes.
we're dealing with this.
Yes. Yes.
Ooh, that'll be a next one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Join our
Yeah.
table.
Join our table. Oh my gosh.
Oh.
So I was just said last thing. So after the PA was in place,
Mm-hmm.
and my daughter was delayed on her injection for no reason,
Mm-hmm.
we get on the phone to set up the delivery, and the patient care coordinator at this PBM specialty pharmacy said, well, our process is 3 to 5 days before we could set up the delivery. I'm like, but it's approved. What are you talking about? Like, I don't understand. And I was like, I need to speak to your pharmacist, to a supervisor, whatever. And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, it's in re-verification. I'm like, I don't care. Get it out of re-verification. There's nothing wrong with the prescription. The PA is now done. And they said, oh, it takes 3 to 5 days. And it was like, she didn't care. It was the most
Mm-hmm.
frustrating conversation. And let me tell you,
Mm-hmm.
I called the manufacturer.
Good.
So, we're having some conversations around that, but
I would not
like,
want to be on that other side.
like, do you know that 3 to 5 days, they're telling me to ship a drug when it's ready to go? Do you know that? Like, the manufacturer had no clue.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah. And it's a limited distribution drug.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is where I'm like,
are you good? Did she get it?
we're good. We're good. After a
Mama
million phone
Bertina
calls.
comes out.
It's like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. So anyways, that's my rant for the day.
Well, good. I'm glad you were able to get it off your chest.
Yeah.
But this is probably a great time for us to end because my meds are kicking in and I'm very dyskinetic, so I don't want to keep moving while we're on camera. So this is perfect timing.
All right. Take care. Till next
Thanks.
time.
You too. All right. Till next time.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.